Hello, my name is David John Jeffery. I'm the writer, producer and director of the film God.TECH. We're currently looking to raise £100,000 to finish off this film. And the reason why I'm coming to you today is because we've started a campaign that hopefully we can raise that money within 30 days. But before I start on that, I'd like to tell you a little bit of history about how this film started, because it's quite interesting for those who don't know. I've been a Christian all my life. From the age of 7 I was saved, from the age of 12 I was baptised, and somewhere between the age of 13 and 16 I fell away from God, but got back to him at 16. And when I was 16 I got a dream, and I dreamt about a world in the future where everyone would be microchipped and they wouldn't be able to buy or sell anything unless they had this microchip. And when I woke up, I think it was the time I was studying the book of Revelation, and it related to vaguely into what was written in Revelation 13, where it talks about a time where you can't buy or sell unless you have a mark on the hand or on the forehead. And because I had this great idea, I thought I'd write it into a book. And I wrote the book when I was 16, and then when I was older, in 2009, Barclaycard brought out the first swipe card technology, and I was a bit worried that my book was going to actually come true. So I thought it'd be a good idea to write it. So I rewrote it, because at the time I wrote it on a typewriter, and then I rewrote it up on the computer. And then I self-published it, because my parents had a publishing company and they said they weren't really interested in the book at the time, that my idea that I had when I was a kid. So I self-published it, and then they took it away and they really liked it, so they decided to publish it professionally. So they published it, and within the first weekend it got to #2 in the Kindle charts for religious science fiction. So then we're moving forward in time. So I've had this book published, and I had a few situations in my life that led me to not have a job and not have a home, and I was homeless for a little bit, and then someone gave me a couch to sleep on, so I ended up sleeping on their couch for about 3 to 4 months. At some point in that term, the council wanted to find out how many people were staying at this guy's house, and he told me I had 4 weeks till I had to leave the house. So I was in a bit of a bad place. At the time I hadn't been praying or following God in any way, shape or form, and I was a bit desperate for a home and a job. So I prayed to God in a moment of desperacy and said, look, I need a home, I need a job, please help me, God. And at that particular time, when that actually happened, God said to me very clearly in my mind, make a film of your book. And I kind of didn't believe it was from God. I thought that was all in my mind, even though I don't know where that came from. So I carried on praying, and a few days passed, and I just kept getting this urge to make a film for my book. And I thought, okay, I'm going to call God's bluff. And I said, okay, if this is God actually talking to me and telling me to make a film of my book, because that's the only answer I'm getting right now. Okay, I don't have a job, I don't have a house, I don't have any money, how can I possibly do that? And I had, when I was younger, wrote a few theatre plays, so I converted my book into a theatre play. And then the first scene was just a whole bunch of newsreaders reading out news at that time. So I put that together in a scene, and I advertised for actors for free, and I advertised for makeup artists and a camera, because that's all I knew about at the time. I didn't know all the things about sound and everything like that. So I managed to get a cameraman. There's a story behind that, but I don't want to share that online right now, but it was a miracle in itself, who would do this for free, and he's been a friend ever since. I managed to get a makeup artist for free, and I got a bunch of actors for free. Now, on the first day of filming, only one actor turned up. So I was stuck. And I knew I'd be struggling to make this film with only one actor, so I got him to do as many scenes as I possibly could. And, sorry, scenes, I mean shots. And then I thought, okay, that's the weekend over. Great, my prayer, I've answered what God told me to do, I've started making my film. But the weird thing was, I got this real strong feeling inside at that time nothing's going to happen until I actually finish that scene. And I'd done a bunch of shots and I didn't have enough actors. So I thought, oh, okay, the following weekend I'll go and refilm it and I'll get some more actors in, and I did. And at that particular time, I had a whole bunch of actors that came in, and unfortunately I didn't have enough parts for the amount of actors that turned up. So I had to whittle it down, and I got my favourite actors out of it through, you know, seeing their look, whether they could act and things like that. And then I finished off that scene, which was great. Also at that particular time, there was a girl called Victoria who prayed with me, because she said she was a Christian, and she prayed that also God would answer my prayer. The next day, I got a phone call from a company who said to me they would like to offer me an interview. And I hadn't really put my CV out there. It was on a few job boards. It had been out there forever. And they said that they just see me on a job board and they thought I had the skills they required. And they wanted someone to be a Novell and Active Directory project manager. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's a very high level IT project manager job, something I wasn't qualified in at all. I'd done a bit of project management, but that was through NHS systems, and it wasn't Novell and it wasn't Active Directory, so I couldn't work out why they'd want to interview me. But anyway, I went for the interview, and at the time they gave me a 20-question quiz, and out of all the 20 questions, I only knew what one question meant, and that one question I actually got wrong. So I thought I'd already flunked. I didn't think I was going to make it. So I went for the interview, and they seemed to like me, and I went home, and then the next day they called me and said, we'd like to offer you the job. And being an honest kind of guy, I said to them, but, you know, I flunked the test. And they actually said, what test? We don't have any tests. And I said, the test I did at your job interview. And they said, oh, it must have been something HR were doing. It's nothing to do with us. So I was really amazed, and I said, well, also, I don't know anything about Novell or Active Directory. And they said, that's fine, we can train you. And I said, so what is it you liked about me? And they said, well, we like the fact you've done customer services in the past, which I thought was a really bizarre reason to give me an IT project manager job. But I accepted it on quite a high salary, which I felt, wow, I got an answer to my prayer. So then I thought to myself, oh, maybe God actually is in this. Maybe making that film did mean that I'm going to get a home and a job. You know, that's what I prayed for, and that's what I got. So I thought, oh, I feel a bit more confident about getting a home. And at the time I was living in Stafford, so in Staffordshire in the UK. So I said, okay, went to an estate agents, and they said, what's your budget? And I said, I have no budget, which is honest truth. And they thought I had lots of money from that, and I did kind of imply it, so I mean, don't blame them really. So I started looking at houses, and I looked at a 2-bedroom property. In the end, I found one in Stafford that I really liked, in a place called Castletown. And I went for this house. I loved it. The rent was, like, not very much, but it had a high deposit. And they said, right, so we need the deposit. And I said, I don't have any money. And they said, oh, we thought you had money. I said, well, I do, because I have this job. And it's at the end of the month, I'm going to get paid a serious amount of money. And I'll be able to pay the deposit. And I'll be able to pay for the house. I'll be able to pay for everything with this job. So they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll have to talk to the landlady. And I only had a week left, really, till I was going to be thrown out of the house. So I thought, oh, I've lost this one. But I'll hope that I'm going to get this house. I looked at other places. I wasn't accepted anywhere else. That was the closest I got to getting accepted. So got to the end of the week, and the guy said, it's Saturday now, he's going to have to throw me out the house. And I said, oh, well, I'm sorry, I have to know where to go. And he goes, there's nothing I can do. You're just going to have to live on the street for now. So I was really depressed, and he said, what about that house that you were going for in Stafford, in Castletown? And I said, well, they never got back to me. And he said, why don't you try giving them a call now? And I had tried throughout the week, but failed. So I gave them a call, and I got through to them, and they said, oh, we've been trying to get hold of you all week. We took down the wrong number for you. The landlady has said that you can move in today if you want, and you can get the first month free of any rent and deposit. So a free accommodation for a whole month if you sign the contract, which I was really happy about. So I got a job, and I got a house, and because I had such a high paid job at the time, I really felt what God was trying to say to me was that he wanted me to finish this movie. So I didn't have any movie experience, and and I started filming very, I would say now it was more a rogue filmer, not understanding how the filming trade works or anything. I had to really think on my feet. I made up calls, I did some research, did some casting call sheets, did a little bit of study. I actually studied a couple of things at the Open University to help me along. And it was a really weird time. If I look back now, I would have never made the movie with that kind of experience. But I met a girl at one point called Susanna, who had a degree in filming, and she was going to be an supporting artist, or she could have called herself a very, very small role in God.TECH, a very small speaking role. And she was really excited about, well, after speaking to her, she was really excited about the film, and she wanted to come on board as if you like, an advisor and also a first assistant director. I asked her to be a first assistant director because I seriously needed one. And she really helped the production. She gave me some amazing advice and just changed the flow of it. Re-auditioned all of our cast. We got professional camera work in, professional studio work. I worked out about sound. I learnt about image, cinematography, all the things which I'd had a bit of history in. I'd been a DJ in the past, I'd been a photographer in the past, so it wasn't like I didn't understand image and sound, but she helped me pull it all together and make it professional. And now we're at a place where we're ready to do the if you like, final production, getting the last bits filmed out and getting the post-production done. And we want to get this film out as soon as possible. It's been delaying for about 8 years, and that is because we've had some people drop out. We've had cinematographers not understand the vision. When they've seen something Christian in it, they've shied away and thought, oh, I don't want to get involved in a religious film. And it's not really a religious film. It's actually quite true to today. And everything that's happening in the world today is happening in this film right now. I don't mean to go on about it, but, you know, microchipping is, wow. They're microchipping all over the world right now. Sweden, we have the train networks, and also we have some businesses have got their employees microchipped voluntarily at the moment. There was a while ago a nightclub in Manchester which was exclusive to people who had a microchip in their hand. We had children in Iowa were microchipped for attendance. This is an interesting one. It was a while ago, about maybe 5-6 years ago, probably 5 years ago. In Iowa, it came out in the news that these children, basically the school had decided to microchip all of the children without permission from the parents, because they were told if they could absolutely prove that the children weren't truanting, then the government would give them more money. So they rolled out a microchip scheme to try and stop children from being truant, because then they could track on a little screen where they were at any time. Obviously the parents were up in arms, and then it hit the news. So these things are happening all over the place, and unless we actually stand and release something, a film of some sort that will hit the cinemas, that really will change people's perspective on what the government could do in the future, I think that they could end up just doing it, and we've lost the whole argument and the whole case, if you like. Now, obviously, we are not going to know exactly what's going to happen, but it's a great exposure, and for people who believe that the microchip is the mark of the beast, this is the way forward. We already have distribution from a massive distribution company. I'm not able to say on camera who they are, but they've agreed to internationally distribute the film to cinemas. I'm going to have other people on board. We will be going to the festivals. This film is going to go out everywhere. I've got also in place DVD distribution and cable networks distribution. Everything is in writing and in place. All we need is the final funding, and that's where I've created this funding campaign right now. If you aren't getting this through a funding campaign, you're getting through the YouTube channel or whatever, then I'm going to put a link underneath this video of where you can go, where you can send details of your contact. I'll give some email addresses into the description so you can contact us, and we're just going to get this film out and we're going to get it made. So if you're interested, please give on the links that I provide. Please, if this video was actually going to be on the funding channel itself, so if you've seen it on the channel, please give as much as you can. Even if you were to just give $10, £10, it's perfectly fine. I don't mind how much you give, to be honest, because over the conglomerate of everyone giving, we're going to make all the money we need to make this film work. Obviously, if we get over 100,000, then we'll be able to get better effects in. But 100,000 is the bare minimum we need right now. So that's why I put that out there. To be fair, it's actually 102,000, but who's counting? We are really excited to get started, and I really hope that you want to join us and you want to get involved in this brilliant thing that's going on. We've got web pages, Instagram, Facebook, like whatever you can, promote whatever you can. You can get us on LinkedIn as well, various social networks. I don't know them all, to be fair. Just look for godtechmovie. One word, G-O-D-T-E-C-H-M-O-V-I-E. Just search for that. Google search for that, okay? You can Google search my name, David John Jeffery. I'm out there on Google everywhere. You can't miss me. We're also going to be doing some campaigns in the UK. If churches want us to come and do photography or videography, all money that's raised through this means is going to go to the film. So anyone who brings me in and, for work and says, oh yes, I want you to photograph me preaching or whatever, I'll do that. All the money paid to me will go into the film, and that's how we're going to make the money. That's how we're going to raise 100,000, okay? So it's not just through this channel. It's going to be through work. Anything I can do. If you challenge me with something and say, I'll pay you X amount of money if you were to do this, if we've got a contract in place and you're happy to do that, then I'm happy to do that. Obviously within a Christian reason, okay? So yeah, please get on board and let's make this thing and let's make history. Thank you.